How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addictions. We have Latewaves back on the channel. It only took 4 years, but we're here. So he can introduce himself and what he does in the band.
Hey, I'm Howie. I play bass and sing in Latewaves, and stoked to be back. And yeah, 4 years later, here we are. This is great.
I was telling Howie, I was like, we hopped in the call and do you remember that we did an interview like 4 years ago? And he was like, it's funny, I put it all together like 30 minutes before we
Yeah,
hopped on.
like literally just now.
And he's like, wait, I know this guy. This
Yeah,
guy's like mid, you know? So
those
I
were
was
not my words.
but no, I've been following you guys for quite a bit. As I mentioned, I'll leave a link below if you want to check out the one from 2019.
Oh, I
Our
lost you there, bud.
Oh, can you hear me? I think you're back now.
What?
It
If
was
that was my internet, that was literally the first time in 3 years that I've lived in this house that's happened. I'm so
woo,
sorry.
first moment. That was great.
I
No.
cannot believe that. That's very, very strange.
Oh,
Which
fingers crossed. We're
I'm
gonna.
so sorry, Brandon.
No, you're all good. I arguably not the worst time I've had it doing this. I think the record is like in the way above the double digits where it's been dropped
Oh my
out, cut
God.
out. So I'm a trooper. I know it's like, but basically what I was getting at was if you want to check the links below, go check out our first interview. Arguably things have changed since 4 years ago. So, if you want to check
Yeah.
out, go back through the archives, definitely go do it. But wanted to ask Howie, like, what's been going on? It's been you guys got a lot of stuff that has happened since then. I do have a little bit of notes and stuff like that I kind of went back, checked out some old stuff, checked out the new stuff, and just kind of went through, what I typically do before I have people on and do my research. But what's been happening since then? You guys got a lot of stuff that happened, I'd argue.
lot of stuff's happened. And we put out, yeah, I guess, yeah, after we last spoke with you, I mean, we put out our first full length record called Hell to Pay, which we finished recording about 3 weeks before the world shut down. So that was
Oh,
an interesting, as many bands did, and everybody were happy we're out on the other side, and yeah, so we ended up releasing that like a year and a half later, kind of peak pandemic still. Really not being able to tour that much, but we were super proud of it. We wanted to put it out in the world right as things were like kind of starting to come back. Um, and yeah, like I said, we're lucky to come out on the other come out on the other side. While bands weren't touring,
yeah.
and yeah, we, like everybody else, kind of found our way to do whatever we could to stay present on the internet and appease the algorithms and all that. But yeah, we toured on that as much as we could. Coming back from there being no live music for a long time, and then we released some B-sides from that record. The End
Okay.
Is Near EP back around this time last year, actually. And before that, and then also since then, we'd been writing what we were hoping would be a second full length, and we found a home for that via Open Your Ears Records, which we're very excited about.
Woo.
And yeah, we went back to the same studio and the same producers, Brett Romness and Vinny Caruana from the movie Life and I'm the Avalanche, and spent the month of December last year holed up in the studio. And now, what's that? 9 months later, 10 months later, we have a full length coming out. We're very, very, very excited about it.
I'm super pumped for it too. As I mentioned prior, I did go back and listen to some of the stuff from like 2019, just kept my, brain where I was at in 2019. And I did go back and listen to Hell to Pay in full from, just knowing you guys and having you on and kind of getting a refresher, listening to the album again. And it was so good when it came out, when I did listen to it in 2021. And I was like, let me go back and listen to it. Just get, go through old
Uh,
times a little bit. And I gave it a listen.
Thank you.
This is so great. I'm surprised. Like, obviously, I imagine most people didn't have an opportunity to go give it a listen live because, everybody was trapped at home.
It was tough, yeah.
It was a little tough, but it's
We-
it's a great album, and I would definitely recommend everybody go check it out. All of their stuff's on Spotify. You already know, it'll be linked in the description.
Uh,
But I
Thank you.
really enjoyed it, and I was like, let me give a listen to the three singles that are out, which are Frog, Italian Smokes, and Same Air. And
Hmm.
I was like, let me see how much they've changed, how much they've evolved as a group, and I was really impressed. I think out of the three singles, I'd probably say I enjoyed Same Air the most out of all three of them, but I would say
Nice.
they're all relatively in like a pretty, same level. Like I feel like I there's one day where I might pick Frog over the other two. There's one day where I might pick Italian Smokes over Same Air and Frog, and all that goodness. But today you caught me on the Same Air day and really enjoyed
Today's the
that.
same air day.
Yeah, today's the Same Air day. But I
Yeah.
really enjoyed kind of and what I didn't even really feel like I noticed seeing you guys live and listening to the album. I appreciate the fact that you guys kind of do these like really cool like vocal layering between all three of you, which I find really impressive. And I think sometimes like bands kind of stay away from doing like everybody singing or everybody doing stuff because like it can become like a real hodgepodge sometimes. But I think you guys find a unique way of integrating all the vocal lines into the track where it's like, okay, like you have one part where like Shauna and Mike are doing something, or like you're doing something with Mike, or I don't know if you and Shauna have done something together, but like the mix mash of like different vocal stylings and the way that you guys all have like a specific like tonality to your voice. I got to give you a lot of kudos for that, because I think oftentimes when I have a ton of bands, been doing this for almost 8 years. So like, for me, like I've seen a ton of bands, listened to a ton of bands, and I love when you can kind of get a group that is like has cool unique vocals, has a unique style to them that obviously plays with the unique vocal styling. And I think you guys do it in a very calculated way where I think other bands might struggle with that sort of like identity. So was that something that you guys like actively thought about or like wanted to do, or it just felt natural and you guys kind of just were like, we should do this because it's gonna work well?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like two answers to that question. It's like we definitely very much actively think about it, but
Hmm.
it's never been like, oh well, we have to have 3-part harmonies or 2-part harmonies
Sure.
into this, like all, and that definitely takes like it took years of a learning process and like refinement, and we owe a lot of credit to Vinny and Brett in the studio for like kind of helping us hone in, especially going from the first record to this one. We learned our style better. We learned their writing style and collaborative style, and we
Hmm.
kind of came in with a little bit more um like back of mind preparation, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
um but it's, we never want to overdo it, but then we find ourselves like, oh well, like this would be cool here, this would be cool here, and like at the end of the day, I mean, a recording is a recording, and like you can't necessarily replicate everything live.
Sure. Yeah.
um that you want to do on, the permanent thing that people are going to listen to. um but we do very much like try to keep it within the realm of like, hey, can we actually like pull this off,
Sure. Yeah.
and like of course, there might be a part where, you can't replicate a 13-person gang vocal in a recording
Yeah.
studio on
Yeah.
stage, or like 5-part harmonies with a 3-piece band. But for the most part, it's like we we can do all of it, and then we kind of kick ourselves after the studio when like Mike's writing a guitar solo and he's like, I really have to learn how to sing over this, like, are you kidding me? um and
That's true.
Shauna even more so. This record, I mean, we all kind of joke about it, but like the first record, I mean, Sean and I definitely sing on it, and Mike did a lot of the harmonies just because like that's, I mean, he is the singer of the band,
Yeah. Yeah.
although
Yeah.
we all sing, and like it can work either way, but like that's kind of traditionally what a lot of bands will do. And with this record, we probably all sing like almost an equal amount. It's kind of crazy. And it wasn't like it basically be like, who wants to go in the vocal booth first? And like some nights it'd be Shauna, some nights it'd be me, and it's like, well, like for Italian Smokes, even like
Yeah.
Shauna sings all of those harmonies, other than like a very like distant part that I sing, and she just went in there first, and we're like, yeah, that's good. We don't need to add any more. Like you nailed that. That doesn't need three parts, and it doesn't need me,
Yeah.
as like a lower layer there. So it is calculated, but we're definitely like we'll do at the end of the day whatever is best for each song. If that meant no harmonies, we would have none.
No, I think you guys are well capable of pulling those off all off live, and I think that's like the biggest credit I can give to you guys as a group is that obviously since
Thank
I've
you.
seen you play like live before, which sometimes I don't always get the opportunity to do that, so I can speak from experience in that way, but I find that sometimes like again like being ambitious in the studio is great, and I think that obviously sometimes it works out very well. But I often try to find like if a group can be ambitious in the studio and have a studio version of the song, and then either be at the same level of ambition live or higher, like I think I just gain a lot more respect for the group if they're like, okay, we're gonna try doing this, and it may work, it may not work, but like the fact that they are actively trying to push themselves as a group, I think is really impressive. And so again, it makes me excited to listen to self title, which is going to be coming out on the 29th. So by the time this comes out, it'll be pretty much roughly around that point in time. So very, very excited about that. And obviously I have to ask Howie, how excited are you for people to finally listen to this stuff? Because I imagine people ask that a lot to you, and I feel like anything that is like music is like a baby, you're like, I'm ready for people to
For sure.
meet the
Yeah.
baby, so like, how excited are you to have this physically in hand, because I know you guys are doing CDs and also vinyl, which is really sick, and
Mhm.
I'll grab one because I love vinyl. So you already had me at vinyl, I'm good. But how excited are you for this to finally be released to the masses?
We are very, very, very stoked. It's always like a game of try and be patient. Once
Yeah.
you finish something like this, and like in the grand scheme of things, like this is not like a very long time for something like this to come to fruition. Finishing it late last year and then physically having vinyl in hand by the time this release rolls out and all that. But yeah, we've been working very hard in the background, and still, we've toured pretty hard this year for like the position we're in, that like kind of, up until releasing the singles, like in between records. We
Hmm.
were probably gone for about a month this summer doing like different support tours. um and we're just, we started playing the songs the second we could, all the way back in January.
Oh wow,
Or
okay.
at least like a few of them. You want to test the waters and
Yeah,
see how
yeah.
people actually start reacting to them live. And now most of it's pretty dialed in, and we're so happy to be able to play the whole thing in front of people, for people to have their hands on it as like a full piece. And
Sure, yeah.
um we were stoked to put out the EP last year because that we wanted to have, and we also put out a cover, now that I think about it, this year. We wanted to give something like in an interim while we were
Sure,
trying to
yeah.
like finish up this full length. But the idea um was to always have this second full length record. As soon as we finished the first, we knew that we wanted to have that experience again and give people a second time around, or newcomers, a chance to experience Latewaves, and then
Yeah.
hopefully go dive back into the past catalog. And I think this record was the perfect way to do that, and we're all three of us could not be more excited to like finally have this out in just a short time.
Yeah, yeah, that's when you said at the end of last year, beginning of this year, like I was very surprised because normally it's like people bands are like, I have to wait 500 years until my next release comes out,
Yeah.
and so for you guys to have such a quick turnaround, not only that, to also release an EP, to release a cover in the interim, like that's a lot of work, and so it is cool to see that you guys are really pounding the pavement, you're really hitting it hard, and you guys definitely seem to have just like the balls to just go for it and just do it, it's awesome.
Yeah, we're just trying to stay as honed in as possible, and that makes us when we're excuse me, when we're on top of it and we're all working and there is that light at the end of the tunnel, and like
Mm,
this light is a full length record that a lot of bands don't get to make that second
sure.
record,
Yeah.
and make it this far off of like DIY touring and stuff like that. We're so happy to be here, and happy for all of our current fans and future fans to check it out.
Very exciting. And I have to
Yeah.
ask Howie, since you did mention it at the beginning of the interview, you guys did sign to Open Your Ears Records, and I have had a couple of their bands here on the channel, so big shout outs to them. But I wanted to know how that came to be. I'm very much a music nerd. I love to kind of find out how bands find out about labels, if they find out about you. Like,
Yeah.
how did this kind of process work out? Because I always find that interesting, at least from my perspective, as kind of like a fan, pseudo like fan slash person in the industry. You know?
Sure. I mean, so far we've had an awesome time working with him this past year, and it kind of came to be, if I am recalling and remembering this relatively correctly, he Adam, the owner, uh, reached out to us when we first put out Hell to Pay, and basically was just like, "Love
Nice.
your guys' band, like huge fan." Um, Kind of alluding towards hopefully basically maybe sometime we can work together in the future, and like
Mhm.
we're like, oh, like this, they've got awesome bands on their roster, we just put out a record on a label, so we're kind of tied in with that right now. And then when it came time to start figuring out the um figuring out when are we going to the studio, what
Yeah,
are we
yeah.
how are we going to put this out, all that, uh, between us and our management group, Dame Entertainment. Shout out them. They're
Shout
wonderful.
outs.
Wouldn't be here without them. We all kind of put our heads together and figured out a plan that would work, and everybody's been super on board and stoked ever since. Um, they've been like I said, they have a lot of like good active touring bands, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah.
a hard to find a label that, I shouldn't say hard, but it's more difficult to
Sure.
find
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a smaller independent where like all of their roster is actually like currently active and like continually putting out music, and they're not just like repressing records and stuff like that. And he's got a bunch of great musicians, and we're all like minded, and we're stoked to continue working together. We're um yeah, like we couldn't be happier right now. It's nice to have, and we've had this, not singling, yeah, just Open Your Ears Out. We've definitely had this in the past too, but we've also had separately like poor experiences with
Sure.
record
Yeah. Oh
labels,
yeah.
not necessarily in late waves. But when everybody's like on the same page, everybody wants to benefit off each other. It's a symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
versus
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, we'll do this, but then you owe us this for us putting out your record, and
Yeah.
not even necessarily money. It's just like kind of always being tied to somebody when you shouldn't necessarily have to be. And they've been like just absolutely wonderful, and we're super super happy with everything. So yeah, it was cool. Like he actually just liked our band, and then we're like, well, you're a cool label. Like this is how this should work. It
Yeah. Oh yeah.
shouldn't be. It's business, but it's also not like cutthroat.
Yeah. Oh
Everybody was
yeah.
just friends, and friends and fans of each other, and here we are now. We made it work.
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job of relaying it. I think symbiotic is probably the best adjective you could use to describe it, because I mean, I've had the burden on, which I've known them for many, many, many years, even before they were signed. So it was really cool to know that like that he's just taking a look at just like every genre out there and is saying like, hey, these groups are sick regardless of if you listen to this band or not. Like this is a band you need
Yeah,
to check out, you know?
and it's a cool home because I mean, while we all fall within some subgenre of rock, like
Yeah.
not all of the bands on that roster sound the same, but at the same rate, we could probably all go on a
Tour
like a
together.
label tour
Yeah.
together, like the early two, well, like pretend like it's 2002. Um, but yeah, like it's cool to have that diversity. It's not just like, oh well, here's a punk band that sounds like the punk band that they're touring with and the punk band that they're supporting, and like everybody's got their own little like flavor, and but it kind of works cohesively like under his label, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, if you were watching this, open years, that would be sick if you did like an open
Hell
years
yeah.
tour. I'm just saying, I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna back Howie on this. So if that happens, we don't. I don't want anything. I just want it to
Oh,
happen. So if
I'd be so stoked on if label tours like really made a comeback, but like the good ones, you
the
know.
good ones, yeah. The
Yeah.
last one that jogged my memory was the Pure Noise like tour, and they had like
Yes,
that was
yes,
such a
yes.
great lineup. So
Yep.
if Open Your Ears can do it, sick. Please come to Philadelphia. That'd be amazing.
I'll put in a word.
Put in a good word. um, well, the next question I have for you, Howie, is you did mention that you played some of these. Obviously, you got to go through the running of the mill in terms of the new songs off the album, and playing some of them live. And obviously, there's some that have yet to see the light of day as of currently. But what is one song you're excited for people to listen to that haven't heard the new album yet? And what is one song that you are just stoked to play live?
So the song I'm most excited for people, it's hard to pick. It was so hard to pick singles too. Like not to sound conceited in any way. It really, really was hard to pick like what we wanted to showcase first. Um, Probably my favorite song I'm excited for people to hear is going to be a track called Plane.
Okay.
And that's featuring our dear friend Jill from Pollyanna.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
so that is an interesting representation of like where late wave like it's new late waves with borrowing like a little bit of the old. It's not like that's not a different. It's not necessarily a different sounding band or genre, but it's definitely probably our most unique song
Sure.
in a lot of different ways. It's like not our typical like rhythmic lyric pattern. It's the instrumentation is like repetitive, but also not like I'm playing the same bass line the whole song, but like there's so much other stuff going on that you can't really tell that.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, like it was one of like one of the songs we like kind of beat to death in the studio. Not and like we want to make this. We're gonna force ourselves to make it work.
Yeah.
But we had all these parts and we had to bring them together to
Yeah. Yeah.
form something that and it was just really cool to work on the three of us and then with Vinny and Brett too because we like it we are kind of like the beautiful mind like at the chalkboard just like trying to like make all this like stuff work like that's literally like or like insert more so like Zach Galifianakis like trying to do it like
Yeah.
when it's I know what's that
The Hangover.
yes
Yeah.
um but yeah, that was just it was the most fun for me to put together. I think Mike and Sean would probably argue like if you were asking that question, they'd probably list that as one of the songs if they had to pick from a few. Um, and, and what was the other? Oh, no,
The
what
live
I'm
one.
most excited to
Yeah.
play live. Um, yeah, there's some tough ones on this to play live, but I'm probably most excited to play this song called "I Don't Want to Be Alone Anymore." I believe it's track 3, which also was almost a single. Pretty much everything was
Oh,
almost a single.
there you go. Okay.
But yeah, there's all these songs are just super super fun to play. Yeah, and we're getting the last of it down now before our album release show. It's funny to go back and learn, try to learn stuff after like 6 months removed while we're trying to do everything else. But yeah, we're playing as much as we can, and like every time we get together, we're finding like the nuances and like remembering like a little part like from the studio. And we're just
Yeah.
oh man, like this I remember the feeling of it like connecting there when I figured out this drum fill or I figured out this bass line or guitar riff and putting the pieces all back together and starting to play getting these songs really, really ready to play live has been really fun.
That's awesome. Best of luck, obviously, with the release show. If you can, check the links below. Go hang out. But I I think that I loved the 3 singles that you have released, and I don't know, I imagine you don't have one planned to come out prior to the album releasing, but I think the 3 that you have is a pretty good representation of, like, what I would imagine the album to sound like, and I think that oftentimes can be lost amongst people because they're just like new song need new song now, like, and then
Yeah,
like the the resistance is never enough. It's just like I need a new song. But
yeah,
I feel like for me, I try to savor each single that comes out, and then I kind of like whenever I review the album, I kind of go through and I'm like, oh, you know what, this actually fits super well within the album structure, and just where it's arranged at, and like it kind of makes you think, okay, so like if the first single is like the eighth song, it's like, okay, it's really out there, like it's lower on the track list, like it sounds different. Let me listen to
yeah,
the next single. Next single's like maybe a little bit higher up, like track like 1 or 4 or whatever, something like that in the top 5 tracks, and you're like, okay, this is really different, like and then you have to try to kind of like measure the gap a little bit, and then by the time the third one comes out, you kind of get like pretty good, I would say, medium of how everything kind of shapes out to a degree.
yeah,
And I feel like you guys kind of have that interesting 3 single pick. Like I thought that each song had its own really unique identity to it, but again, the synergistic in that way where I was like, you know what, this everything about it feels like a late wave song, but coming at it from a different angle with each single, and I think that that's like one of the coolest things about the both Frog, Italian Smokes, and Same Air is that like they all have these specific things that you're like, okay, like it makes sense, but I think it won't fully make sense to me until I get the entire album. And I'm like, okay, now I'm able to put the pieces together. This is how it's supposed to
yeah.
be put together, and I love that. That's like, again, that may be speaking to the nerd in me, but I really enjoy
Mhm.
that vibe of like
Mm.
getting to
No, man,
understand
you're nerd speaking to nerd right here. Then,
it.
it's you basically nailed it. That's exactly why we ended up picking the singles that we did. More or less, like we're like, all right, well, let's give them like what they might be expecting from late waves,
Mm,
and tweak a little bit with the next one, and then tweak it even more. But like they all, you can hear the old in there, and you can hear the new, and it's not like it wasn't. I don't think it wouldn't be like a shock to anyone's system. Be like, oh, who's this new band? Who's this new band that I
yeah.
don't know anymore? But it's also like, oh well, that song doesn't sound like it could have been on Hell to Pay, their last record.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of where we landed with it, and that's how our nerd brains work as well. So that's appreciated. Trust me.
Yeah, it's like I feel like for me it kind of had like a new old vibe, and I know it's very contradictory, but it like kept the essence of what I feel like I know about late waves and kind of following your journey as a group. But I also think like listening to the singles and having not listened to you in a little bit, kind of made me come back to it, and I was like, wow, this is they've changed up a little bit, but not like so much that I like look at it and like, is this the same band that I've interviewed in 2019? It's like, yeah, it
Yeah.
is different, but like it's like, a couple steps ahead. Like, and I appreciate the fact that you aren't like trying to step out and go like really wild and out there. And I'm sure maybe at some point you might. I don't know. Want to jump the gun on that, but I feel like you guys kind of keep it within a certain realm of like, and I've used this example in like other interviews where I've kind of like realized that bands are like in this like field, and there's like this field that's fenced off, and the band's just like hanging out in the field, and they're like, okay, well, I can go to the edge of this field where the fence is at, and that's where I feel like we're gonna stop because we don't want to go too far because then we'll be really out there and no one's gonna understand what band we are or what we're doing, but we're not
Right.
like so close to like the main hub that you're like, okay, they why would they make hell to pay part two, like I think you
Right.
guys kind
Yeah.
of found that
Exactly.
nice medium point between like just enough differentiation but not so much that people are like have to question if they're listening to late wave still or not.
Yeah. No. That again, you kind of nailed it. For it's like you're inside our heads. It's cool too. Like, the stuff we have been playing like the last year out live. Like, hearing it, or rather playing it in context. One new song next to a Health Fizz song, next to a
Yeah.
song off of our first EP that we might throw in here or there. Like, they all still do work next to each other, but it's not a repetition of anything else before. It's like writing a set is, we could pick from any EP, single, this record.
Mhm.
Like, they all work well enough together, and like, you're just like, oh well, yeah, it's the same band playing a set. It's not like they're playing their first stuff and their newest stuff, and it's like listening to a metalcore band and then a symphonic orchestra. Like,
Yeah, yeah. You guys are keeping it
so
in the wheelhouse, so I appreciate
yes,
that.
yeah.
I guess Howie, in terms of again feeding the nerdism in me, what song kind of changed out the most in terms of what you had for like pre-pro and stuff like that to what eventually made it up onto the record? Was there one song that just like got tooled around like not a lot, but just like got tooled around enough to you're like, wow, that pre-pro version of the song we had is like way different than what ended up on the record, or do you guys kind of keep within the same sort of like okay, this is what we want to kind of write. We're not going to change up the formula too much, but we're going to try to like do what we can to make it seem like a Lightwave song.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we're very we Mike free pros pretty hard. Like, I mean, we all like write together, and he
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
in and like demos everything. But that's just so we have some sort of like basically like a very well put together skeleton to work with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and But we're like very, very open to tearing stuff apart in the studio. So I'd say it's like, all in all, it's probably about 50-50. Like, a lot of the
Oh,
songs, yeah, we'll just like go in there and like obviously add in some subtract stuff, but like the guts of the song are like pretty much like we're ready to go with it.
mhm.
And then the other half is like, well, we're gonna rip this out, and shove this in there. Um, but the song we probably did that to, or one of the songs we probably prodded at the most, was Night Terrors,
Mm.
which is the last track, and that was actually almost going to be on Hell to Pay, and then almost the B side of Hell to Pay.
Oh.
And then by the time we finished writing it to the point of which it is now, it was like, it was always like a fun like late wave song to like toy around with. Um, and we even did like an acoustic version of it live, like during the pandemic, like filmed and recorded by our friends, which was fun. And then it transformed from that into probably one of my top 3 songs that we've written and play. I was really gunning for it to be on the first full length, and I won't lie, Mike and Sean know I was disappointed when it didn't make it. And but now looking back, I'm like, there's no like, it wasn't ready to be done then. Like, if
Yeah.
we like, that's the basis of that song is now 5 years old, and now it's finally coming out, but it's coming out the way that it should and how all of us wanted to. But yeah, we really, especially like instrumentation wise, like, we beat the hell out of that song, and I'm very excited for people to hear it. It's by far, yet like easily one of my top 3 that we've written, and it's fun to play too. So
I mean, for a song that's been in the ranks for 5 years, I mean that's a testament, because sometimes like I think bands look at old songs and they're like, I don't know, I'm not,
yeah,
I'm not sure. But for the sheer fact that you guys kind of again continue to use it and like put it in this way of like, okay. We have something here. Maybe we should keep going, and then you like iterated on it, and then by the time it's ending up on their self title. It's like, okay, this is like what we wanted it to sound like all along. This is
yeah.
sick.
It just took time and patience and practice, and like learning how to write better ourselves. Like, I mean, we picked that out of the 11 that are on the record. We probably had 30 plus demos we went in with, and Mike, Sean, and I, and then Vinny and Brett, like, our producers, Vinny and Brett, were like, yeah, I think it's time we actually do this one. Like, it wasn't forced. We could have picked 29 other songs.
Yeah, sure.
They're like, let's go back and like revisit this one, and like, let's hear the new demo. And yeah, and I'm so happy we made the record.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's the case, and I obviously got to give you guys a lot of kudos, and I'm excited. I'll probably wind up doing it live, so guys, check back at the channel. I'll be reviewing the whole thing live, so come hang out.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm really stoked on it. In terms of like Brett and Vinny's input on a song, is there one song that they went through and they're like, listen, we gotta do something about this song. Like we love it, but like there's something that we need to there's something that's there that we need to like flip or we need to turn, or like was there any particular song in the album or maybe in the demo stages where you're like they picked out like a demo and they're like, no, I think we got to run with this one. This one sounds sick. I like this one.
But then like we had to like work on it, like
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it had to be tweaked a lot. Probably, I mean, that could be argued for a few, but I mentioned before, playing, and like I'm probably most excited for people to hear that. Um, the bass, like the core idea and like the bases of the song are all still there, like from the original demo and like the original idea. But when you hear it, it's like I said before, it's like very, it's not like really rhythmically us. It's not how Mike typically sings. It's like it sounds like a late wave song, but it's got almost kind of like a death cab kind of groove to it.
Ooh, okay.
At least trying to
Yeah.
like compare it to something like, hey, we're the new Death Cab. It's not a Death Cab song, but that like the rhythm of it is like that's what I would personally compare it to. Um, and I remember like Mike and Vinny just like in like outside the control room, just like figuring out like how do we sing this and make it sound like you, but also make it sound like this different thing that you like recorded on the demo.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like it's a lot. It's almost, it's not spoken word or like rap, but initially it was almost like, oh, like you're kind of like rapping over this, man. Like it sounds like perfect, but it's not like your
Hmm.
band. It's
Yeah, yeah.
and it wasn't intended to be like, hey, we're gonna be a rap rock band. It was just like how the lyrics had to be said for
Sure.
the speed of the music,
For the rhythm,
and
yeah.
then we found this like, what I think is like this perfect medium where like Mike gets to do something a little different, but still showcase like how he, himself as a singer, and just like a banger chorus. We have our friend Jill from Pollyanna on it, but that one took like we're like everybody wants this song to be on the record. Let's figure out how to make it make sense with the other 10 songs.
Yeah, you had to tool it up to make it fit within the guidelines of late waves, and I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that one's gonna be an interesting one. I'm excited to experience that one live because I feel like
Uh,
that is
I'm so stoked.
that is the time. But
Yeah.
the next question I have for you, Howie, is if there was a song that you wish that you wrote, what song comes to mind?
Oof. Um, that's
It's a
that's a
tough
big
one.
one.
That's a tough one. Yeah,
Uh,
I'll give you that.
mine will probably be like a real weird deep cut for a lot of people, for most people. Um, so the song "Aside" by the Weaker Thans
Oh,
would
okay.
probably be mine. Yeah, that probably a deep cut for most, but I remember hearing it for the first time at the end of the "Dude, Where's My Car" soundtrack, and that turned me on to the Weaker Thans, and that thanks, basically what I'm saying is thanks to "Dude, Where's My Car," like that ending credits kind of helped birth my taste in music for the rest of my life, which is a really messed up thing to say. But like I literally remember hearing it and like going and buying that Weaker Than CD like within the like next week.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
impressive.
yeah, there's John K. Sampson's like my favorite songwriter lyricist. Yeah, that's a weird one. Most people aren't gonna I don't know if most people will connect with that, but that's the truth.
Hey, I appreciate the truth. That's
Yeah.
great. I would have never. I don't think I would have ever put those pieces together, but I'm glad that I was able to just draw that out of you,
Yeah.
Howie.
Yeah, it's like one of the it's like a childhood memory that I'm like, all right, I'm glad that happened because like I don't know if I'd still play music if I never heard that song. It
That's
just like immediately clicked.
Yeah, Dudes, Where's My Car? Like, if you make a sequel, like, get Latewaves on it. I feel like that's
Yeah,
only like a full circle moment there. You
yeah,
know, you're
yeah.
missing
What?
out.
Yeah.
I would
Great
be stoked.
soundtrack. Great soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have like a. I don't know if I would really have something like that where it would be so obscure that like I wouldn't be able to place it. I guess like the only thing that I can kind of semi relate it to was that I found out like randomly that 4 Years Strong did that Semi Charmed Life, and it was like the song that they did for like the Marvel show Modoc. And I was like, "What the fuck is going on
Oh yeah,
here?"
yeah, yeah.
And they like posted about it. They're like, Marvel used our song, and I was like, I knew it was their song already, and I was like, I thought I was having like, I was like tripping or something, or I had drugs in my body because I was like, who's using this as a song? I mean, great choice of song, but like, why pick this song? You know, like,
Yeah. Trying to put it all together.
you try to put it all together, and then I like watched the trailer, and then they again like moments later they're like, hey, so we have this song in this Marvel show, and I was like, is that a dub? Like,
Yeah,
good for
that's
you
wild.
guys. That's awesome.
Yeah,
You know, like I'll give you the props for that. I mean, like I've known about you for a decade, more decades than I can count now at this point. So
yeah.
you know,
Seriously.
I mean, good job. Kudos for your song. Love those guys. Um, but the next question I have for you, Howie, is a good follow up question to the song you wish you wrote, which is, what songs are you listening to currently? What's on your Spotify? What have you been listening to lately? I always love asking this question.
Sure. I am very, very excited. I think we all three of us are for the new PD record, which
Ooh,
should be out. Yeah, which will be out by the time this comes out. That the singles that he's been putting out are so phenomenal. Very, very, very stoked on that record. I really liked his last one. Um, been listening to a lot of Koyo, which is
oh yes, oh
yeah,
yeah.
which yeah, they've been crushing it. Didn't I wish we had the I wish I had had the chance to see them live, like the couple they were supporting Avalanche and Bayside earlier this year. I wasn't able to make it out to one of those shows. But they're phenomenal. I'm like so stoked for all the success they're seeing. Um, trying to think who else. Our good buds in Flycatcher.
Woo.
They're playing. I think they're playing Philly now, like as we are speaking.
Oh damn.
Actually. Well, no, I'm happy to be here with speaking with you.
I know. Well,
Um,
I mean, I would have been stoked to go see Flycatcher. You know, obviously, I love speaking
yeah,
with Howie, but I mean, like, would have been great.
yeah, they're absolutely crushing. They just put out an EP, I guess like late spring, early summer. But yeah, there's so much good stuff on the radar right now that I'm probably not even thinking of. I'm trying to think of what else like just came out. Um, well, very very stoked that new Menzinger singles and
Yes.
stoked for that full
Woo.
length. That'll be that's going to be great. Never disappoints. So yeah, that's something to look forward to in the next little bit. And yeah, just uh, send us new music to listen to. Send us your band to listen to.
I will.
Well,
And also check out Latewaves because they have a new album out.
yeah.
So plug, go check it out. Links below. Go pick it up if you can go purchase it.
Hell yeah.
I say this all the time. If you can purchase it, it helps a band out. So don't complain if they don't come to your city because you didn't buy a CD or a vinyl. So I'm just saying. That's what I tell people all the time about bands. If you want to see them hit your city, buy merch, buy CDs, buy all that sort of stuff. If you do buy CDs, I don't know. Maybe that might be a lost art now. I'm a vinyl head, so I'm going to buy vinyl, and no
Hey,
one's going to
however you
stop
want
me.
to consume, we're here for it. You know, buy a record. Tell us what city you're in. We'll if we haven't been there or not coming there, we'll try to be there. That is our game plan. You know.
And they will, trust me. I know. I've seen it. Um, but the next question I have for you, Howie, is if you were to compile a musical supergroup, who would be in your band?
Wow. Okay. That's well, yeah. I'll have deep cuts here too, probably.
That's
I
all right.
guess.
I'm about it. You do whatever you want, Howie. This is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is your this is your pick. You know.
Oh man. I would, well, I mean, very current. They are currently on tour in two bands. Ben Gibbard would have to be in there,
Ooh, okay.
playing guitar and or singing, songwriting, whatever. David Bazan from Page of the Lion.
Ooh, okay.
Um,
What a interesting choice. I like
yeah,
that.
that's well, yeah, like those two together on guitar. Um, man, now I
Now you're blanking.
now yeah. Like, who's my favorite bassist and drummer? I was like, well, they're both in those bands too. Um, um, she's the wow, I can't think of his name. I'm blanking so hard. The drummer um, from Jimmy Eat World
Okay.
is one of my favorites, and I can't think of his name right now. That's embarrassing.
I'm gonna look it up for you.
And
I got you.
yeah,
Don't worry.
I
We're
guess
here for
I could literally be doing it on like one of three screens myself.
it's Zach Lind.
Yes, yes. He's like a big baseball nerd too, I believe.
Nice.
And I think bass. I don't know what this band's gonna sound like, but I'm just picking a lot of my favorites here.
That's all right.
Bass would be Riley Breckenridge from Thrice.
Ooh, wow. Okay, I like
Yeah.
that. That's a good pick.
So like yeah, so like a very a poppy hardcore indie rock band. Yeah.
That's sick. I'm about it.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Guys, when are we doing this? I
Yeah.
know you guys watch I know all of your collective bands
Yeah.
watch my show, so I
Obviously, yeah.
you'll be doing me a service.
I'm just gonna text them all right
Yeah,
now and be like,
actually
"Hey,
they're
you
calling me
guys."
right now on a
Yeah.
no. No, that'd be actually really sick. I would be I always think about this question and I'm like, if it actually did happen, I just think how wild that would be in terms of like process. Like they're
Like,
like, yeah, so
what would happen?
we watched this guy on YouTube and like, Howie from this band Latewaves was like he would love to hear us play a song together. So we like all DM'd each other and we're like, yeah, this sounds sick. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then now that's it. Like,
Maybe this is the time where like the stars align. They're all just like watching this at the same time or like different days, and they're like, you know what,
listen,
I'm gonna hit up that dude.
I mean, Ellis Dunes exists, and that features like four bands. So
Very
I'm
true.
saying,
Yeah,
listen, anything's possible now in the music landscape. So
yeah,
once Alex
you're totally
Zune
right.
exists, we knew it was possible. So
Yeah, that
somebody
is
put those
100%
formulas.
correct. Yeah,
Somebody put those people together in like this
yeah.
question and was like, it'd be so cool if they did this. And then Anthony Green's like, say less, fam, I got you. And then
Yeah.
hangs up the
Yes,
phone.
honestly, one of them might have dumped it into it like a computer or like AI and be like, how do I make this group sound like this? And it's like, here's LS Tunes. And like that could be it. That they just chat GPT themselves into existence or
I'm
something.
about it. I'm about it. Listen, if you want to speak it into existence, so
Yeah.
that's how I see it. But I'm stoked. Hopefully Howie's pick works, guys. If you watch, I'm just saying, I'm gonna give the final pitch. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are gonna be named, so that's what you guys just got to do. But other than that, I'm excited. I'm excited. But
It'd
yeah,
be a great gig.
and have Late Waves open it up. I feel like that's only
Please,
par for the
please.
course,
Yeah.
so do it up. But the last thing I have for you, Howie, which is my personal favorite question, I love asking this. We talked a lot about, knowing your project for since 2019, and obviously glad you guys are still out and doing it and still kicking it. And guys, if you can't go pick up the album, please check the links in the description. But want to know why you guys do it, why you're passionate about doing it, why music is important to you. Because oftentimes for myself, I love music. It's always going to be a large portion of my life and why I do this. But I often love to know why other people are so passionate or so dedicated to doing it, because I think it shows my appreciation for your group and why you do it. And like I think it gives me that like motivation to say like you guys keep going at it. But also at the same point, it's like it's cool to see that we're all trying to like gun for the same thing, and I think that's such a beautiful thing as well too. But I just want to know, why music is important to you, Howie, and why you decide to be in a band and do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's on paper, it's, you know, it's not the most logical and
Yeah, yeah,
responsible and feasible. You know, the list could go on.
yeah,
It's, you know, it's not a, even if you have loved ones support you, it's not a path, which we very, very luckily do. Uh, but it's not like a path a lot of people can look at and be like, oh yeah, this will maybe work out. Like the maybe is
it's
like
like
lucky.
this. Yeah.
Maybe is like the best case, like you get super lucky scenario. Um, as far as just like it being sustainable, but you know, why we do it, why we still do it is like it does bring us the most fun and joy and sense of pride too. That like, you know, we don't get from, you know, whether it be other forms of art or, you know, a day job or, you know, any really anything else. You know, we're all lucky to have like very supporting families. You know, Mike and I like very supportive wives, and like what we are with what we're doing and how silly it again like looks on paper. Um, but it's like we've, even if it's a small one, we've been given this chance that like at least, you know, X amount of people that already know about us, that have seen us, that have heard us up, you know, streamed our music, purchased our music, whatever. Like that's a lot more than most get.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And there's and truthfully, there's probably bands much better than us out there, and we've gotten more. You know, we've been lucky enough. You know, we work hard, but you know, we've caught the ears of whoever we've caught so far. Um, and we have a fan base, and we're lucky to be able to tour the amount we do, and hopefully more. Like we just love doing it so much, and like every day remind ourselves to not take it for granted,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because it's, you know, while like we have big dreams and bigger aspirations, like as long as somebody's connecting with our music and like wants to, like if we're playing 100 cap venue and 5 people show up, I mean, I'd like 100 to show up, I'd
Yeah.
like 500 to show up. But if like somebody, not to sound cliche or cheesy, but like if somebody there is so excited because they've heard us before and they connect the lyrics and they finally get to see us, or they're seeing us for the first time and they've never heard of us before, we're just on a bill that they wanted to go see another band, and we connect with them in some way like that. That's like the ultimate like satisfactory feeling that I think all three of us have. Um, Meeting new people and then saying like, hey, like not even necessarily your songs helped me through this or your songs did this for me. It's like, hey, like I get it. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I get what you're doing. Like I respect it, and I'm stoked to be here. Like you guys seem stoked to be here, and just like those experiences, all in all, are like the thing that kind of keeps the train running. Um, yeah, just it's nothing else like gives that kind of satisfaction, and it's not like an ego thing. It's more of like it's a having a connection with people that's not just like a conversation or yeah, or you know, an emotional
Yeah.
like relationship connection. It's just like, oh, like I see you, you see me, I heard that, like that's really cool. I want to hear more of that. I like what you're doing, you know. And that's why we try to keep doing it, you know. And we're thankful for all the people that are already on board, and you know, we just hope that many more people hear this record and come out to shows and like and keep that feeling in us going, you know.
Yeah, I also feel like it's very reciprocated, like where I
For
feel
sure.
like for even knowing you guys and shout outs to Becky for emailing me about late waves, big salutes, love Becky. Um,
Becky's the best.
she is awesome. But like in that aspect, like I already knew you guys, like I knew I wanted to have you guys back on because like I already had such a great connection the last time I've interviewed you in 2019, and like I think that's kind of like what I take away for bands that I have on multiple times is just like it's such a cool friendship that is kind of built over the years and like ultimately grows and like obviously we haven't talked in 4 years but like it's cool to like it's cool to see that even from like more of a backseat of seeing your band do stuff and like see it show up on my feed and see people post about your band and stuff like that. It's like a very nice thing to see that like people along with myself, care about artists and want to see them, do well. And like I said, hopefully it gets to the point where, you are selling out like the 100 cap rooms, the 500 cap rooms, the, larger rooms than that. And like, I think we all have this goal that we would like to be doing music more on a full-time basis. And, I think that's just all about kind of, again, funneling that dream into like bands that are doing it and really working at it. I mean, like guys have been doing it prior to me interviewing you in 2019, and you're probably going to keep doing it, still at the same length that I'm going to be doing this for. Maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't
Yeah.
know. Who knows? We'll find out. But like, it's a cool thing to see. And again, it was just for me, it was like an immediate, like, yeah, I'd love to have these guys on again because it just felt like A, haven't talked to you in a little bit. B, it's just like cool to see bands that are still doing it years and years over, especially over COVID. Like I wasn't even sure where bands were going to be at. So for the sheer fact that
Sure. Yeah.
bands are back and we're back to doing live music is such a great thing. And you did touch on something real quick, Howie, that I wanted to also mention for this.
Yeah.
But like in terms of the lyricism for the album, what kind of things are you guys delving into, and like what are some of the like things that you would like people to take away from the Late Waves self-titled album?
It's a, I don't want to say lighter because that's not the right word, but it's it's a little less still self-reflective, but like not as I guess not as dark as a lot
Okay,
of
yeah,
the lyrical material on Hell to Pay. And not that but even that was more so like uh it's really songs about like self-reflection and and self-actualization,
sure,
and that kind of that transfers over into this record a little bit. um then you have a song like Frog, and that's like that wasn't purposefully meant to be like a happy, quirky, like
yeah,
super happy, upbeat song. Like those are the lyrics that like came out of Mike, and like it was like, oh, I want to sing about this. I want to sing about like like having the best time with like the people around me, like my
yeah,
wife, my friends, my band. So there's a little bit more of um, like not just Frog, but there's a little bit more like just like, hey, like I'm singing about like a positive experience, like or like a positive environment on this record. Um, but there's still a lot of I guess there is still a lot of like kind of self reflection and like like uh kind of tying back into what you asked, like why what is it that we love most about this.
yeah, yeah,
Like the first track called ATM is a song like I started writing years and years ago, and kind of similar to Night Terrors finally making this record, like this song was like finally ready to go. But it's about like, hey, why are we still doing this? Like why
yeah,
are we still like we're very happy to be here, but it's also the internal monologue of like, hey, like like a day job with benefits and X, Y, and Z would be tight. Like, why are we doing this? And listening to people tell us what they think we should do to be
yeah,
better or
yeah,
like be more successful. And it's like kind of, and it's tongue in cheek, but it's still like a fun song. It's not like it's not giving the finger to like the music industry or and
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's there it's a little bit of a mix of like how dark we got on Hell to Pay, hence the name, and then
yeah.
and like kind of this other side of us where it's like a little more, we show our fun side a little bit, I think. It's like
Yeah.
that in short.
And I also think it's nice too because like for people who maybe didn't have the opportunity to listen to Hell to Pay, like they can kind of get the like the yin to the yang kind of a thing where like I feel like
Yeah,
this new album, your self title, is like, okay, like there's still some shit that happens in your life. There's still things that happen, but like there's a
for
much
sure.
better
Yeah.
like positive outlook on it. Where Hell to Pay is like there's a lot of shitty things happen and there's a lot of shitty
Yeah.
things that happen, like
Yeah,
and I appreciate
there's
that.
lights at the end of the tunnel here and there on that one, but
Yeah.
but a lot of it is like that's what was happening to, that's what was happening in
At a
life at that
time.
time,
Yeah.
and then some of that stuff still happens, but we also like got some good out of that. Yeah, or got some good over the last like few
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's been, it was definitely like it was a cool thing to be able to like blend that together and have it be a cohesive album, and not like, it's not everything's sad and not everybody's mad all the time, but it's also like we're not like okay, but
We're doing
we're
better.
also,
Yeah,
but yeah, but we're also going to be fun. It's
yeah.
it's fun, and I hope people will like kind of take that away from it. Like it thematically all still works in my opinion. So
Yeah, I think I mean even just kind of again listening to all of the singles, like it kind of gave me that motif of like and the things that I choose to live by, which is like life can throw you some of the biggest curveballs in your life, but also at the same point, it's like you gotta enjoy the ride. Like you're if you're just gonna cry over spilled milk, like you're just gonna
yeah,
be a Debbie Downer, and you're gonna feel like shit all the time because like that's that's the mindset you put yourself into, And so I feel like
yeah,
this album is kind of like that collective of like, yeah, bad things happen. Terrible things happen all the time, but like it's dependent upon how you want to view things and how you want to like move forward with your life is going to ultimately like change your perspective on it because very easily you can just be defeated and not have like
yeah.
any sort of reason to live, but like it's just it's just not it's not good, do things that you enjoy. You live once, just fucking do
Sure.
the things you
No,
love.
you said it in a really, you articulated it really well. It's like I think all three of us, and would have, I think they'd agree if they were on too. It's like we all definitely over the past, uh, 4 or so years, like
Hmm.
I think we've all learned to enjoy the ride a little better,
Yeah.
a little more, and put less pressure on ourselves, and like whether that's reflected in lyrics or actual like the musicality of like the songwriting, like I mean, we know that like we've kind of advanced like to like kind of appreciating things a little bit more and enjoying the ride, while it's here a little bit more. So, yeah, I guess it translated into a second full length.
Hey, I love to hear it. So, anyway, how you can tell the people the most important thing, the reason why I imagine most people are here. Tell them where they can find Late Waves at, what you have coming up in the next couple months, and anything else you'd like to plug about your band.
Sure. Our self-titled LP is out on Open Your Ears Records on September 29th. We will be having our release show October 27th at House of Independence in Asbury Park,
Woo!
with Little Hag, Family Dinner, Charlie and Margot, and Steve Kelly of the band Man Dancing. Check all of them out. They're wonderful. If you're not going to come for us, come for all the bands we're playing with. They're amazing. Um, you can find us anywhere on the internet at Latewaves. All of the handles are just Latewaves. And everything at latewaves.com. Links to open your ears to purchase vinyl bundles with a t-shirt. What else do we got? What else we have going on? Oh, Black Friday, which is November, what
26th,
day?
I think.
20, I'm going to tell you right now. If
I'm gonna say
I'm
it's
gonna try
26.
really hard.
I'm gonna say it's
Yeah, Black
26th.
Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
It is November 24th. Actually,
Oh,
this
damn
year.
it! I was
You were
close.
close.
Oh.
I was gonna guess 25th, honestly. We are playing at Berlin Underground in New York City with Vinny from I'm the Avalanche the Movie
Woo!
Life. John Simmons as his solo project Creeks. Jonathan Ballinson composure,
Oh,
and Dave from Fireworks, and Brian Turner. It's going to be a really cool, intimate show. Day after Thanksgiving, New York.
hell yeah.
That'll be our next show after the release, and then we'll have some winter tour news coming soon, and we'll be hitting the road hard as soon as we can next year. So keep your eyes peeled, and I am very happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. And guys, listen, go check out Late Waves. Again, I already gave her a shout out, but I'm going to give her another shout out. Go give Becky, Big Picture Media, some salutes
Hell yeah.
down in the comments. I love them. I've been
Well,
working with them for I don't even know how many years now at this point, but a lot. So please go support them. They have some great
yes.
bands, and Late Waves is
Becky,
another one.
big picture. Thank you.
She's awesome. Also, if you have the opportunity, go give Lateways some love. There will be links in the description. If you can go pick up a vinyl like me, you can be cool. Get a vinyl. just like myself. So go do it. If not, if you're more of a CD person, go do it. Or if you're cool and you stream music, go stream it. All of the links will be in the description as well. Also, if you can go see them out at their release show, go do it. Or up in New York after Thanksgiving, go do that as well. It'd be really sick if you had the opportunity to go see them. And if you enjoy this interview, share, like, and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before the year's over with. So, if you could get me a
Yeah,
little bit closer to that goal, that'd be
get them.
amazing. We're moving. We're moving. We're doing well. So if you can just keep going,
Hell yeah.
that would be awesome. And huge thanks to Howie for coming back on and chatting with me again.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll see each other soon, and we'll be 4 years and when before we talk
Philadelphia.
again.
I'm calling.
I
I'm calling it
think
now.
we'll make Philly happen again very soon.